Hello, everyone, and welcome to kind of a different little episode here. We're going to kind of do this is a different series. This is going to be called The Main Files, where myself, one of my very good friends, Connor, and then another one of us, his name is Duncan, will be on and talking about kind of a variety of different topics. Some maybe sports, some maybe some other silly things. We'll kind of get into more of why it's called The Main Files later. But right now, it's just Connor and I, huge Bobcats fans. Connor, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So today we're going to kind of get started with a topic that everybody seems to like and is familiar with. Recently, they just announced the NBA All-Star starting lineup. So what do you have to say about that, Mr.
Well, personally, the lineups for me, because I know a lot of them are fan-voted based, so there's some little biases in there. Like, I did notice Zion Williamson was one of them. Having a pretty good season this year. But, I mean, over a guy like, I guess I know Anthony Davis has been hurt all year. But a guy like Anthony Davis, I think Anthony Davis is a little more talented than Zion Williamson for sure. So, I don't really see the justification in that. Like I said before, though, a little fan biasy. Zion is having a pretty good year, don't get me wrong. But, before his injury, what was that, 20 games ago or so? I know he's coming back now. Yeah. I know Darvin Ham last night announced that playing against the Spurs that he was going to be coming off the bench, playing about 20 minutes a game.
I did see that.
Before the injury, he was having a fantastic year. I think the Lakers, as many struggles as they've had this season, Anthony Davis was really one of the shining spots in that team.
Yeah, I definitely say, I don't watch a lot of basketball, but I get a lot of those kind of highlights or, those blips on my phone of, final scores, halftime scores. And before Anthony Davis got hurt, all I saw was, he had like 39 points or whatever. And I'd say he was probably an MVP frontrunner before he got hurt.
Oh, for sure. And, the thing with Anthony Davis is he's just so injury prone. He's got the talent, obviously, to be, one of the top guys in this league, but year in and year out, it's just injuries plague him, and I feel sorry for him. I really do, because I know he's got the talent to really be one of the top guys in this league, and shoot the three ball, play really good interior defense, even post up pretty well, which I know is kind of a lost art in today's game. But I know, like I said, the ability to shoot from three is a very big strong suit
Absolutely.
For a guy like that, especially in today's game. With the increased pace of the game, a lot of less defense, quite frankly, which, it's a topic for either later today or some other time. But, it's I was actually just saw the stat kind of building off that anyway. This is like the highest scoring averages in NBA history. I mean, you're seeing guys putting up 60 pieces, 50 pieces very frequently. I mean, Damian Lillard just put up 60 points last night. Luka Doncic, when was that? About a month ago? Was that? I can't remember.
When he shot like 60 or 70 or something like that? Yeah. 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so, I mean, a guy like that, sorry to build off there, excuse me. What was I saying? Oh, anyway, so like the pace of the games, a lot of guys scoring a lot of points. Another interesting stat that I saw, though, Damian Lillard is one of the top 6 or 5 players in the league to have 60-point games. He has 4 of them. Guess who's number 1?
LeBron?
No.
Kobe?
No. Wait,
Jordan?
You got to think way older. The dude who put up 100.
Wilt the Still?
Wilt Chamberlain. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 32.
Oh, wow. He's got a little bit to climb.
For sure. And Damian Lillard, if you saw the clip, he said, I'm not catching that.
No.
Which, I mean, no one is probably.
No.
Especially
with day.
With the talent and all that stuff. I mean, and I'm not going to be one of those guys that says guys like Wilt were playing against plumbers, because, I don't think, frankly, that's true. But obviously, the competition back then was a little worse than it is now. So.
And he's 7 feet tall, playing against a bunch of like 5'7" dudes.
Mm-hmm,
It's there's a little bit of a height competitive advantage there.
Oh, no doubt, especially that time period and such.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, excuse me, even his athletic dominance. I mean, he was, like you said, taller than them, a lot stronger than a lot of the guys. I mean, you can't count out Bill Russell, obviously, but Bill Russell has the rings to speak for himself with 11 chips there, and Wilt has 2, I believe, off the top of my head. 2,
Yeah.
1 or 2. I believe it's 2. One with the Warriors, and then one with the Lakers in the early 70s. So
Absolutely. So kind of branching off of, talking about NBA past and kind of also getting into stats from today, you came up with a great idea. We're going to do a little fantasy draft here. We're gonna draft 6 NBA guys, and based on that, we're gonna kind of probably decide who wins. It's All-Star season, so this is gonna be kind of a fantasy draft All-Star lineup.
Right.
So with this kind of being my little YouTube spiel, I will let you go first and have the number 1 overall pick, and then we can snake draft.
Okay, sounds good. Well, obviously, with my first overall pick, I will be selecting Michael Jordan from the University of North Carolina, also the Chicago Bulls and the Washington Wizards later in his career. Greatest player of all time. And he owns the Charlotte Bobcats, of course, another reason to love the guy. Or Charlotte Hornets now, I should say. But, Michael Jordan, the greatest to ever do it. 6 championships. I mean, the resume speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Hey, great pick. Obvious first choice. So my second and third, so the number 2 and 3 overall pick. So the second overall pick, my first round pick. Wow, that took a lot.
Yeah, you're good.
Is going to be, he passed away in a car crash 3 years ago today. One of the greatest scorers of all time. The person to score the second most points in a National Basketball Association game, Kobe Bean Bryant. He was my role model, my idol, one of the reasons why I played sports, a guy who I wanted to be when I grew up. He had that kind of mentality, the Mamba mentality.
Me too. No, I agree 100%. I was actually just talking today with the person I was with at work, and I said, Kobe was probably my favorite sports athlete, of all time growing up. So, the great pick. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So, gravitating kind of, that there's a certain time frame of Kobe that I really love. I wasn't watching the NBA at the time. There's a very short stint of time where I actually watched basketball, and that was his second, 3 championships, not the first 2, but this is about the first 2. And I'm picking a center. In my opinion, one of the greatest centers of all time, if not the best center of all time, and that is Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq, probably, most dominant player of all time for sure. I don't know if the skill set's necessarily there. I mean, obviously he's got the strength, the athleticism, or, well, not really necessarily athleticism, but I mean, 7 foot tall, 300 or so pounds, could block a lot of shots, bring the rim down. Great pick.
Yeah,
going off that, I can't believe he's still here. I'm going to kick the kid from Akron, LeBron James, at number 4 overall. Another guy, resume speaks for itself, will be the number 1 scorer in NBA history by the time the season's over. Maybe even, within a few weeks or so, he will be able to break that record. Also, another one of those guys, resume speaks for himself. Arguably the greatest player of all time. My opinion, not. But that's neither here nor there. So LeBron James, I'll be taking him number 4 with my number 5 pick. I'm actually going to take the current NBA scoring leader of all time. That is Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, one of the most dominant moves in all of basketball, the skyhook. I mean, obviously, another one of those guys, I hate to keep saying it, but the resume speaks for itself. Number 1 scorer of all time. A couple MVPs, championships, all that good stuff. Milwaukee Bucks and the LA Lakers in the 80s. I mean, he's part of Showtime, part of one of the greatest duos, two of the greatest duos of all time, actually. Him, Oscar Robertson, and then him and Magic Johnson with the LA Lakers. So I'll be taking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with my third, I should say
your 4th pick,
my 3rd pick, whatever. Yeah. I got Kareem at my 5.
Perfect. So you have Jordan, LeBron,
and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my third pick is going to be my point guard. I'm going to go with, the other Showtime Laker guy. I'm going to go with Mr. Magic Johnson.
Great pick.
A guy that was so athletic that he could play the 5 just as well as he could play the 1.
1980 finals. I mean, he played for an injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the baby hook, and he won the NBA finals for the Lakers, I believe, in his rookie season. So I believe the only Finals MVP. No, maybe not the only, but he was one of the only Finals MVP who was a rookie.
Wow, amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen the HBO Max, The Winning Time.
I have not yet. Unfortunately.
Oh, it's so good.
I like the Lakers. I mean, like I said, I was a Kobe fan growing up, so I'm a big Lakers guy. Well, I was, not really too much anymore, but I was. So
yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that one, definitely for sure. So
I'm keeping track of this here.
Yeah, with my fourth pick, I'm gonna go with my three, my wing. Probably the greatest white boy basketball player of all time, Larry Legend, Larry Bird.
Good pick.
I like the mixture of the 92 Dream Team with, the 2008 Miracle Team, the Redeem Team, with Shaq in there.
Right.
I think, when you see that 92 Dream Team, everybody talks about, Jordan kind of ran that team, but that was kind of the first time you ever got to see Magic and Bird in the same uniform and got to play together.
Right.
And, you see all those videos and stuff and how gruesome those practices were, where they were all just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights of, basketball history, of course. Sports history, really. Larry Bird, great pick. So this is going to be a little controversial. I know, Matt Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time, in my opinion. That's a fantastic pick. I'm going to take number 2, in my opinion. I know this is a kind of a heated debate I see a lot among the NBA community. But I think the numbers speak for itself here, guys. Number 1 in assists of all time and number 1 in steals. His name is John Stockton. Never won a championship, unfortunately, due to facing the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, in the NBA Finals twice. But John Stockton was part of one of the greatest duos of all time with Mr. Karl Malone, the mailman. I'm going to go John Stockton with my point guard right there, greatest ball distributor of all time. And then with my next pick, I'm going to take my power forward. And I'm torn here. So, as I just mentioned before, the mailman, he's also one of the top scorers of all time in NBA history. With that combination of him and John Stockton, they already have that chemistry. But with this guy left on the board, I cannot pass him up. I want to take Tim Duncan with my power forward spot here. Just another the big fundamental. Just another proven winner. Championships, MVPs. They'll speak for themselves there. Probably one of the greatest actual basketball teams. Like team wise, they were cohesive. They knew how to play basketball. They played defense. One of the greatest teams, and he was the leader of those teams. Give me Tim Duncan at my 4th spot.
That was a good pick. So I got 2 left. I got my 4 and my 6th man. Mm-hmm. So my 4, he's a very slept-on player. He meshes well with Shaq. And, he did win an MVP. I'm going to go with Chuck, Mr. Barkley.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, I think he was a dynamic player. He won an MVP. He did make it to the finals. Fortunately, he did also lose to Jordan in those finals. And I think he was just a great ball player.
Oh, no doubt. The round mound of rebound, baby. Yeah,
baby.
Can't deny that greatness right there. And then I guess you also get your 6th man here. So,
Kareem or Barkley, great basketball player, horrible golfer. Horrible golfer.
I've seen the swing. It's quite horrid.
Yeah, but with my 6th man, I'm going to pick a guy who is actually very good at golf. Give me Curry. Give me Curry.
That's a good pick.
Steph Curry.
Coming off the bench.
One of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. It's kind of, when you talk GOAT debate, it's always Jordan and LeBron. I'm not putting Curry in the GOAT debate, but I'm putting him in the greatest three-point shooters of all time. It's always either Curry or Ray Allen.
I would argue Reggie Miller, too.
Reggie Miller as well.
Reggie Miller, too. But yeah, no, Steph Curry's definitely the best. But, those are the top 3 guys right there. That's a great pick. Honestly, that didn't even cross my mind to take him. So, with that, my last pick here, I'm just going to take another scorer, too. Just a guy who can come off the bench and just, be a spark plug. Don't know if he'd actually want to ever be on the bench. Highly doubt it. I'm taking Mr. Kevin Durant.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I thought about him as well.
Yeah, no. I didn't even think about Steph. It's a good pick.
Yeah, I was either going. I wanted a point guard because I feel like my team is very big.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have went another big man, I would have went Yao Ming.
Okay, yeah.
But ultimately, it was either between Steph Curry and Allen Iverson.
Oh, Allen Iverson would have been another good one. Yeah, I mean, a few players, that I had on my board that I kind of wanted. I mean, obviously, besides the ones that you took, because those are all fantastic picks, we're doing an all-time pick, or all-time draft, but not going to be able to get every player I want. But just a few off the top of my head that I know I'd really like. I know Steve Nash is one of my favorite players of all time. In my opinion, pretty comparable to John Stockton in terms of the playmaking abilities, the nose on the ball kind of grind, defensive, got a lot of steals and all that good stuff. Knew how to play good defense. So I would have took Steve Nash. I know he can shoot the three ball too. He's a good scorer. Another guy, and this is, I don't know if he even made the all-time 75 list, but it's just a guy I really love, and it's Vince Carter. And I would have loved to have Vince Carter on my team. That would have been neat, but I just don't think he is good enough to be on my team here.
He did not make the 75.
I didn't think he probably would. So, yeah, Vince Carter would be a guy that would be really neat to have too. Obviously a guy like I mentioned before, Wilt Chamberlain, dominant. Bill Russell would have been another just a defensive anchor to have on the squad. But like I said, there's only 6 picks for each team, and you can't get everything you want. So, yeah. But overall, I think it was a good draft. Personally, if I'm going to say it, I think I have a better team. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, we look at the matchups here. I mean, no offense, but I think LeBron's going to take Larry Bird's going to be able to just shut him down. I mean, Larry Bird, don't get me wrong, fantastic player, but athletically speaking, not the fastest. I mean, he does like to get in your head. But I think LeBron James just physically would just be able to dominate Larry Bird, to be honest with you.
I might not even defensively match LeBron up against Bird. I might put Magic on LeBron.
You could, yeah.
And then I might put Kobe on Stockton and Bird on Jordan. And then Barkley can easily take the Mr. Fundamental, in my opinion. And Shaq and Kareem, it's going to be a battle in the paint for them no matter what. It's size.
No, I would agree. I would agree with the size thing.
Size versus length, I think, with Kareem and Shaq.
Right. I just don't know if Shaq would be able to really do much against that hook, baby. I mean, it's the great. Like I said, it's arguably the greatest move in basketball history. That or Hakeem Olajuwon, which would have been another fantastic pick, by the way.
I would agree.
The dream shake he had, that was another one of those unstoppable moves that kind of helped change the game, really. So yeah.
I think a big portion of mine was just finding guys that have a similar Mamba mentality and have that grit. Steph Curry. All these guys that I picked, other than maybe Barkley, are proven winners. They show out when the lights are the brightest. I mean, I would even say Barkley is because he's an MVP guy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, not granted yours did as well, but yeah, I mean, you got John Stockton, never won a ring.
See, now the ring thing with me is it's hard to really argue a ring conversation when it comes to basketball because it's such a team game. I mean, yeah. He never won a ring, but if I'm looking at statistics, like I mentioned before, number 1 all-time in assists and number 1 all-time in steals. And quite frankly, if you look at the numbers, it's not really close. I mean, I think I believe, I'm thinking off the top of my head here, I believe the steals is within, the next guy I believe is Jason Kidd, and I believe he's like a couple thousand away. Yeah. And in assist-wise, I think John Stockton has like 50. Let me fact-check myself here, but I believe Mr. Stockton has about 15,000.
We might have to fire up the old PlayStation or something, get some 2K.
I was going to say get the 2K. I actually thought about that.
Get the 2K out and sim it and just watch it.
Yeah, so John Stockton has 15,806 assists of all time. Jason Kidd has 12,091. So, I mean, it's a pretty big gap between. So maybe I meant the assist was within 3,000. Now if I go all time.
Why are you on Bing?
I don't know how to change it. I'm on Chrome, but it doesn't. This is NCAA. We'll go NBA here.
Ty Cobb. That's baseball.
Oh, it's stolen bases. Okay, so I was mistaken. So it's the assist that John Stockton has like a 3,000 lead. In the steals, John Stockton is 3,265, and Jason Kidd once again shows up with 2,684. And it's also nice I got another guy in here on the all-time steals list. Top 3 guy is Michael Jordan. So I actually didn't know that.
Good news. You got guys that love to share the ball. That's awesome.
That's right. So yeah, we could definitely fire up the 2K and just sim that. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah,
I think all those Charles Barkley unfortunately is not in the game. He refuses to have his license taken out for 2K, but you could probably just make or find a roster with him on it and do that way.
Pick someone that's similar to Barkley that you just trade him for.
Ooh, another one that I would have loved to have is Kevin Garnett. I love his ferocity, his tenacious just attitude. I mean, that guy was awesome. Love Kevin Garnett. Yeah, that would have been another good one to have for sure.
KG was a stud. Just looking at the top 75 list, if I were to just trade for a guy that's in 2K that might be similar, Patrick Ewing maybe?
Yeah, Patrick Ewing is, I don't know, like if you're talking about winners, that guy had to have Jordan out of the league so he can make the finals, and they still lost twice. I mean, and then they 99 they also made, and they lost Tim Duncan in the Spurs. So I mean, I don't know if we're going off the winning thing. Patrick Ewing's not the best player, and honestly, in terms of centers of that era, I argue that he's he'd probably be. I mean, he's top 5 for sure, but he's definitely not better than Shaq or Hakeem Olajuwon.
No, not at all. You know what? For my 4, we'll go Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman?
For game purposes only.
Yeah.
I'm still keeping Barkley in there for my.
Now we talking
all-time.
Pistons Rodman, early days Rodman. We talking Chicago Bulls, pink hair, crazy guy Rodman.
I'm going bad boy Detroit.
Yeah, bad boy Detroit.
Bad boy Detroit.
Yeah. Oh, my dad was a big Pistons fan. He loved Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, all those guys. So that's I kind of wish I was around to see that era of basketball. I mean, obviously you can find all the clips on YouTube that you'd ever want to see, but that was definitely a different time, no doubt about it. So
yeah, there's definitely kind of a different feel when you see stuff live, for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So, kind of moving along from basketball, is there anything you'd like to talk about basketball-wise?
I don't think so off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, if something else comes along, we can always just hop right back into it. So, yeah, let's move on.
So, a question that I always kind of like to talk about is with every season coming to a close, we look back on the winners and kind of everybody's favorite personal team, and you always think, okay, we either did really well or we kind of pissed the bed a little bit.
Well,
so for both of us, our sakes, our teams pissed the bed a little bit.
That's right.
So
yeah.
he is a Denver Broncos fan, Broncos country, let's die. And I am a Colts fan, which is pretty much the baby version of a Bronco. So with this upcoming, kind of free agency quarterback carousel coming along, I'd like to kind of hear your input on some of these key free agents that are coming in, where they might end up.
Okay.
And kind of give your
well, the first one that comes to my mind, and I don't believe he's actually going to be a free agent, is Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know if you saw the news today that our former head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, went to the New York Jets, and I believe that is a move for the Jets to try to lure Aaron Rodgers to New York. So maybe he'll just play out like Brett Favre did.
Yeah.
Green Bay, New York, then maybe he'll end up on the Vikings. Who knows? But that's something I think could realistically happen. And honestly, I can see him playing for the Jets. My ranking would be probably retire is honestly what I think is going to happen. But if he doesn't retire, I think he's going to go to the Jets. And if he doesn't go to the Jets, I guess he'll play for the Packers. I really don't see him playing another season for Green Bay. Now, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but I don't think he's one of those guys who would want to end his career without even making the playoffs. But at the same time, you've obviously, people know that he's kind of had enough of what's going on there. I mean, and part of it's his own fault, too. I mean, he takes up a huge amount of the cap space. So, I mean, how much is the blame on him? I would say a considerable amount, but that'd be kind of what I think was going to happen. So, and he's not, is he a free, am I mistaken? He's not a free agent.
I believe he signed a 3-year extension this last year.
Okay. So I think he's going to get, I mean, I kind of just totally screwed that topic up, but I think he's going to either retire or get traded to the Jets.
Yeah, it's totally fine because Aaron Rodgers is in the news, is in the air about kind of what are his next steps. You look at that last game against Detroit. Either Jamal or Jamison Williams went up to him and asked him for the jersey. He's like, "No, I'm going to hold on to this one." And he walked out of Lambeau with Randall Cobb, one of his very good and dear friends and teammates. Mm-hmm. And so, everybody was just kind of questioning what's his next move, and with kind of them missing the playoffs and his frustrations with, Green Bay's front office and the coaching a little bit, and them drafting Jordan Love a few years ago in the first round, while he's just kind of like, I thought I was the guy, won back-to-back MVPs. I still think he's a very good quarterback and can still dominate in this league. Him winning another MVP again, I doubt it, just because you have Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts.
Well, you got the young guys.
Yeah, all the young guys. I would even say Russell Wilson, under the right system, could become another MVP candidate.
We'll see about that, but
he was balling those last two games.
He was. I mean, even against Kansas City, I think that was the first time we played him. He had 3 touchdowns. I mean, he looked better than I'm not saying it's a fantastic game, but he looked better than he did all year. So I mean, I think the whole Hackett thing kind of screwed him up, tried making him something that he's not. And obviously, I think Denver tried to get Hackett just to lure Aaron Rodgers. Well, that didn't work. Let's go for plan B. Let's trade for Russell Wilson. Obviously, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are not the same quarterback. They don't play the same way. So I just think from the beginning, it was just a disaster waiting to happen. So
absolutely. Another team that I saw linked to Aaron Rodgers, I saw it yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, that he was linked to the Colts. I think he likes kind of that system. I think he's good friends with Mr. Irsay, the owner of the Colts. And, for me personally as a Colts fan, ever since Andrew Luck retired, God rest his soul, moment of silence for Mr. Luck. And ever since then, it's just been a complete downfall. The Colts just keep getting all these old dudes that are trying to revive their careers.
Right.
It's just a total
rent a
mistake.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, what about Derek Carr? Do you think? What about him going to Indianapolis? I mean, I don't know if it was actually him, but I did see rumors linked him to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It's the same thing. His career was dying in Vegas. Rodgers' career was slowly starting to deteriorate as well in Green Bay. And so people think, well, I can go to Indy and maybe revive my career for a year and go to a different team.
Right.
Well, Phillip Rivers retired. Jacoby Brissett is the backup for Cleveland. He did decent while
he did.
While
Watson was out in suspension.
Deshaun was suspended. But you look at Matt Ryan, and that was probably the worst thing ever. Like, that was the worst excuse of football I've ever seen. And, the Colts, I feel like, definitely gave up kind of in the middle of the year when they fired Frank Reich, hired Jeff Saturday, and just kind of threw Matt Ryan back in there. I mean, if they truly did tank for a high draft pick, it better be you're either trading for a guy that has a bright young future or freeing up cap space, maybe getting Lamar Jackson and some help, or keep that draft pick and draft a really good quarterback and build your franchise through that guy.
Yeah, like a Stroud or a Bryce Young or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cincinnati or, Buffalo. They built teams around their superstar quarterback.
Right.
You know? So that's kind of what I want to see in Indy.
Yeah. Well, I would agree. Same thing with Denver. I mean, I think the running backs situation's okay. I do, because I think Williams will come back. He'll be all right towards ACL. Obviously, the preseason, they said Denver's going to have one of the best running back duos in the league. Obviously, it didn't work out. Mr. Melvin Gordon, he didn't perform quite as well as he has in the past 2 seasons. Because honestly, in Denver, he was pretty good. But this season, he was not very good at all. I mean, all the fumbles, and just couldn't hold on to the ball. So I think the running back situation will be okay. But I'd like to see Denver try to get, maybe I want ideally everyone wants this, but, I think what they could really use is just a number one guy at a receiver. Because I think the receiving room, the wide receiver core is pretty okay, pretty good. I mean, Jerry Jeudy's good. He's just pretty young and unproven right now. I think Cortland Sutton I think they try to make him the number one guy, and I just don't think that's really, feasible, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't really see that happening. And I watch about every game, and I never really saw any moments where, oh, Cortland Sutton could be that guy. I don't see that happening. And like KJ Hamler, another little fast, kind of a slot receiver there. Uses his speed real well. And then we had he played quarterback last season when all the
I know who you're talking about.
Kendall Hinton. Yeah, Kendall Hinton. I just like to see us get like a number one guy. I'm not saying it needs to be a Devontae Adams, but I'd like to see that. Ideally, that's like probably if I had a wish list, that'd probably be my number one thing for the wish list.
Awesome. So we got some key free agents here coming up. I'm just going to rattle off these names. We can talk about them for a little bit and then get into it. Probably just mainly the big names. So we'll start off with kind of the biggest name in sports and kind of what's going on is Mr. Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. I don't see him playing in Tampa next year, to be honest with you. I think he's kind of, I'm not going to say he overstayed his welcome, won the Super Bowl for God's sake, but, last season wasn't, this season wasn't ideal for him, I don't think. Kind of had a lot of personal issues, retired, unretired, unfortunately got a divorce and all that good stuff, so, I could see him going to a place like, I know his dream was always play for the 49ers, really looked up at Joe Montana growing up, so, and it kind of depends on how well they do. Obviously the 49ers are still in the playoffs, going to be in the NFC Championship game. So if that seems something they want to pursue, you'd have to see. I know I saw another one linking him to Miami. Also don't know if that will happen because they made the playoffs, and Tua Tagovailoa played quite well this year. And despite, obviously the concussion stuff kind of screwed him up a little bit. But he's proven that he can play in this league. So, and I just don't see him retiring. I really don't. That's such up in the air because there's so many questions. These two, the Niners and the Dolphins, kind of, I don't know if they really have it figured out to say, but you can't really justify going out and getting Tom Brady when both those teams made the playoffs this year, I guess. In my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, Tom Brady is the biggest enigma in sports, You look at kind of his last 12 months, he went from Adam Schefter pretty much telling the world that he retired, even though he didn't, and then a month later, him actually retiring, pretty much spoiling whatever he wanted, and then another month later coming back to losing pretty much his entire, off the field lifestyle with his whole family, and just kind of totally devoting himself to football. But at the same time, at least that's what he says. But he went to Robert Kraft's wedding, took a private jet to that wedding, and then flew himself to an away game separate from his team. So maybe that was kind of his exit from Tampa. At least for me, that's when I knew that he was gone from Tampa. Mm-hmm. Now, where does he go? I think his time in the NFL is starting to come to an end. I could see him ride off into the sunset on a team like San Francisco if they lose in the NFC Championship. Yeah, okay. If they make it to the Super Bowl, it's the Brock Purdy show, I think, for a long time.
I would agree with that, 100%. 100%.
And, you look at that offense, and anybody can play in that offense.
Right.
And it shows. Trey Lance balled out for the one quarter that he played in.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo has led them to 2 Super Bowls and countless NFC Championship games. And Brock Purdy, he's...
Well, the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't mean to interrupt you here, but every time I don't watch, every Niners game, obviously, but every time I watch him play, he just doesn't really impress me much, which is funny to say. They played the Broncos this year. He stepped out of the end zone like Dan Orlovsky. I was like, what do I don't really know what to think about that, I guess. But... No, Brock Purdy's playing great right now, and I agree with you 100%. If they make the Super Bowl, you don't really have a justification for getting rid of that guy. You know?
Yeah, and it helps them that they have all those weapons and a fantastic defense, too.
Oh, no doubt about it. They have a great team, no doubt. Exactly.
Yeah,
but does Tom Brady really improve that? Does Tom Brady take them to another level? Obviously, if they win the Super Bowl, there's not much higher you can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what the 49ers would do to sign Tom Brady is to give them another sense of leadership at the quarterback position and train and get Brock Purdy ready. Mm-hmm. That I think would be the only reason why a team like San Francisco would do that is for young quarterback development and a sense of leadership in the huddle and just on the team in general. Because I think Tom Brady is a fantastic, phenomenal leader. I think he's a smart guy. He is the GOAT. But if he doesn't go to San Francisco and he doesn't retire and go onto the broadcasting game, I think he would maybe go back to New England.
Okay, I can see that too.
You know, they were struggling with quarterbacks. I'm not saying Mac Jones is an issue because I do think Mac Jones will be a good quarterback. But their offensive coordinator, Matt Patricia,
For some reason.
is a defensive guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And New England's defensive guy is Belichick's son. Belichick's son is their D coordinator. And so their
With the
offensive,
mullet.
yeah,
Yeah.
and their offensive coordinator is a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So obviously, Mac Jones isn't going to know what to do. Like you saw him yell I think at least 3 times this year at Matt Patricia, being like, "Dude, we've ran the ball and we gained 1 or 2 yards. Let's start passing." Like
I don't know if you saw this. I speak kind of building on the Patriots deal here. I saw today there's an article. It was like some inside NFL executives, I believe, and they said, "Are we allowed to swear on the show?"
yeah,
Okay, so they said Bill Belichick fucked them. So that I don't know if that's true. Obviously, that's some executive talk. That's some a little higher than players and all that stuff. But allegedly, Bill Belichick's starting to become part of the problem. And I think kind of leading on to what you just said there with all the coaching hires and the Patricia being the offensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, and Steve Belichick, if I'm not mistaken,
I think so,
is the defensive coordinator. I think that's probably part of the problem, and I think and it's funny you say that because I just feel like Belichick, just probably doesn't really care anymore.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
there's gonna be a part of him that's like, I've done my thing.
Bill Belichick created the greatest thing to ever step on a football field in Tom Brady.
Right.
So he's already kind of done his thing. In my opinion, yes, Tom has won 7 Super Bowls, but so has Belichick because Tom wouldn't be Tom without Bill. Mm-hmm. And anybody who is a Patriots fan and has known about and has kind of lived through this 20-year span of how good the Patriots were would probably say the same thing. Deggs has said the same thing to me too. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to deal with. And, Brady, I think, Niners, Patriots, but first and foremost, I think he'll retire and just
I think so too.
head to Fox.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it might be a regrettable decision. Like, not regrettable for, I don't know how to phrase this, I guess, but I think he would regret it is what I'm trying to say. I don't think that's why he wants to lead off. And honestly, I think he should have retired if he won that last Super Bowl with Tampa. He should have rode off on the top.
I think so
That's
too.
what I think he should have done.
That's what Manning did.
So Manning did. That's right.
Alrighty, so with Tom Brady, the question mark's up in the air, but there's another one that kind of is looming as well. That's up in the free agency market, and that will be Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. So coming off, he had a knee injury, missed the last kind of several weeks of the season, including the playoff game. He didn't even travel to Cincinnati for the playoff game. And that kind of begged the question as to, is he really for the team? Is he really about it? What are his future plans in Baltimore? I've seen a lot of places, like the Jets, the Commanders, kind of all over the place. Even the Colts, maybe. So, just kind of give your input. What do you think about this Lamar situation?
I would agree that I don't, or not necessarily agree, but I don't know if he's planning on coming back to Baltimore or not. To be honest with you, I haven't really seen a lot of speculation on where else he would go. Kind of building off the Jets, the Commanders there, and then, even the Colts, he said. I mean, those are all obviously viable places that need quarterbacks. So, if they're willing to throw him the money, I don't see why he wouldn't. With some of those places, obviously it depends on what happens with coaching and all that good stuff too. But you got to think, especially a place like, if they were happy to keep Ron Rivera, a guy very similar-ish with Cam Newton had great success under Ron Rivera. So, I think scheme-wise, like a mobile quarterback like that, I think it could work. It just we still don't know, like I said, what's going to happen. And from what I understand, Ron Rivera's more likely going to get fired from what I've seen. But Washington could really use a quarterback, obviously. You think about a place like, even like Houston, if they're willing to maybe want to kind of splurge on some guy, if they want to pick a guy, be there, on the draft this year. I'm just trying to think of some places off the top of my head here. But yeah, I mean, those three that you definitely said would probably be places. I mean, even like the Saints. I don't know. I mean, like there's a whole bunch of places that could use a quarterback, obviously. So, but now that I kind of say the Commanders thing, for some reason I really like that. So I think Lamar Jackson should go to the Commanders. Go north to Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So, I think Lamar Jackson is a very fun quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. I think my prediction is I think he will probably end up getting franchise tagged by
Baltimore.
the Ravens. Mm-hmm. But just some places I think it would be really fun to see him in is like San Fran. If they're balling with a guy like Brock Purdy, imagine
that'd be crazy.
Phenomenal Lamar Jackson at quarterback. You have a phenomenal athlete at quarterback, running back, tight end, all receiver positions.
It'd be an unstoppable team. Yeah,
it's just a team of athletes.
Hands down, it'd be the hands down best team in the NFL.
Absolutely. So I think him going to San Fran would be awesome. Along with seeing him, I think in any NFC South team. I mean, you saw the Bucs win the NFC South, and they had a losing record.
Yeah.
So any quarterback, I think, if they can find a right fit and they like the offense, and maybe even if it's coaching, because I know there's coaching positions open in Carolina. What other? I mean, New Orleans. They're.
Didn't the Carolina one get filled today? I think Frank Reich got
hired.
Oh,
yeah, Frank Reich just got hired. He might be interested. Any quarterback might be interested in that. Starting up a new program.
Mm-hmm.
The Commanders might ship Carson Wentz over down to Carolina if he wants to be with him so badly, and then they get Lamar. Or you have the Saints. They have a new coach as well from last year. Their quarterback situation, and they don't really know.
Yeah.
Tampa will be looking for a new quarterback because Tom will be out of there, unless they're super up on Kyle Trask.
I don't know if you can make this work money-wise. I think interesting would be Tennessee Titans. Could also use a good quarterback now.
I would agree. Yeah, that would be electric too. Running that read option with Derrick Henry and Lamar.
That'd be fun. I do like that too. I close my eyes and I could see him in a Titans uniform. I think that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be
also
awesome.
The Commanders. I like that. I like the Commanders one. I think that'd be neat. But let's be realistic here. More than likely, it's going to be a franchise tag by the Baltimore Ravens there. So.
Yeah. So with some other ones coming up here, let's see. I mean, we got Baker, we got Sam Darnold, Jimmy G will probably be out in San Fran. I think Carolina will probably keep Sam Darnold. He had a great kind of second half once he got that rollback. Baker's kind of a question mark. He did play pretty solid towards the end of the season with the Rams, but. Mm-hmm. The Rams probably won't take him back as they'll have Stafford back at the beginning of the year.
And I hate to say it because I am a Baker fan, but I don't know if any team's going to want to give him a chance to be the starter, day one, and going to have to fight for it, no doubt. I mean, obviously, basically the teams we just said with the Lamar Jackson thing could also probably look at Baker, and obviously not saying they're the same player, but just needing the quarterback situation kind of figured out. I mean, a place like the Saints or the probably not the Panthers. They probably don't want to give them that chance again. I'm guessing probably not. Tampa, Tennessee, Washington.
Maybe even the Jets.
New York Jets.
He's kind of similar to Zach Wilson, but he's got kind of more of that NFL experience that Zach Wilson is lacking.
Yeah. Well, Zach Wilson's another thing. I don't think he's all that great. I think he's another one of those guys that went quote-unquote viral before the draft. Everyone sees his, TikTok video or Instagram videos of him throwing some great throw at the combine, and he gets picked second overall, and he doesn't turn out to be all that great. Kind of like I saw a comparison where this next draft, it's that, I believe, Will Levis from Kentucky. Yeah, that could be a similar situation there. So I don't think Zach Wilson's all that great, to be honest with you, and I think this season's kind of proven it. And obviously, I haven't been on a podcast or any way to express my opinion on this, but I've been saying that for a long time
now. Yeah, I think with Will Levis, I think his basement is definitely like a Zach Wilson, but I think his ceiling could be upwards of like a Josh Allen. Is what a lot of people are saying, and I tend to agree after watching the tape.
Well, and I think the thing with him too is it's maybe because I think Zach Wilson was like one good season. Will Levis has had at least two, I believe, because I mean Kentucky was ranked in those seasons. You know, these past 2 seasons they've been a pretty decent football program. So I would say I don't want to say he's Zach Wilson. You know, I mean that's a pretty mean thing to say about someone. But I do think, I would probably agree with that. Looking a little deeper into it, that Levis could definitely be better than Zach Wilson. But yeah, his basement would be Zach Wilson. So you know, obviously, draft hasn't happened yet, so got a lot of looking into, a lot to look forward to. Anyway, so I kind of meant to say there. So
absolutely, yeah. So kind of graduating on, you know, from the NFL, we're gonna graduate backwards into college. So in one of my previous episodes on my other show, I did some way too early Heisman predictions. And I just, you know, you're a Buffs fan. You got Coach Prime, you got young Prime and his son, you got Travis Hunter. It's going to be a pretty locked down defense in Colorado. I'm
very excited. I think the fans have been waiting for something like this for a long time. The past few seasons have been quite dreadful, especially away from a time of the glory days of the late 80s, early 90s, kind of competing with Nebraska there in the old Big 8. I mean, we won national championship games. We had Heisman Trophy winners. I mean, those are the glory days, and I really think the last time they were really, really relevant was about 2003, I do believe. So it's been a long time coming is kind of what I'm getting at here. So I think it's going to be good. It's going to bring a lot of excitement to the program. Already having really good recruiting, good transfers, all that stuff.
Lambos and Louis V's.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, you know, and it's also super nice, you know, with that big college rivalry between Colorado and Nebraska, you know, having two guys with that fan base, you know, during college football season, it'll make for a good time,
right? For
this show.
Yeah,
so, you know, so Heisman predictions. Who do you got?
Well, now I'm going to throw a guy out there that I know a lot of people were saying last year didn't have the greatest season at the University of Oregon. But I think another way too early one. We'll see if he can prove himself this season. Is Mr. Bo Nix?
Bo Nix, good pick.
Former quarterback at Auburn, now at Oregon, like I just mentioned before. I know that dismantling by Georgia against them that first game kind of threw that away pretty early. But you know, I'd like to see maybe another Pac-12 guy. Obviously, like I said, a Buffs fan, so I think a Pac-12 guy would really bring a lot of maybe some relevance and some prestige back to the conference. So it's kind of been lacking that for a while. For a while. Yeah, I'm going to say for a while now. I mean, it's been kind of rough these past few seasons for Pac-12 fans. So, a guy like Bo Nix, that'd be cool. I think he's capable of doing it, really talent-wise anyway. This one's going to be kind of different, I suppose. And I'm not too sure. I think he's going to be back next year. But I think a cool one, don't know if it's going to happen. I doubt it will. I'd like to see Spencer Rattler at South Carolina win a Heisman. I like seeing guys from, South Carolina's not a small school by any means. They're in the SEC, for God's sake. But South Carolina's not a powerhouse, SEC school. So I think it's cool to see guys succeed at the highest level in a school like that. I think, like I said, I'm not really necessarily predicting it, but I do think that'd be really neat to see. Spencer Rattler, I'd probably throw him in there too. I do want to see Chandra Sanders, obviously. That one is up in the air for me as well because obviously he had good success at Jackson State, but we're talking about a SWAC school or an HBCU, kind of on the same FCS level as like a South Dakota State or North Dakota State. So obviously this is moving up to a different league. Got to see how he performs, but as a Buffs fan, I would love to throw. I have to throw him in there. I can't not throw him in there. So I'd love to see that happen. So
yeah, I threw him in mine as well.
Yeah.
I had him, Travis Hunter, also a possibility as well. I had either starting Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning.
Oh yeah, those are good. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And then I think Caleb Williams will probably be back there.
Caleb Williams actually going to be my second or my last one here. I was just going to say Caleb Williams, another Pac-12 guy, which I think has a lot higher chance than Bo Nix, to be honest with you. But I know Bo Nix, like I've mentioned before, was kind of a hot name last season, and I think things have cooled off on him a little bit. But maybe he's got an underdog mentality. Maybe, maybe he'll prove everyone wrong. So that's kind of what I'm thinking too. But yeah, Caleb Williams is actually my next pick, because I was actually going to say that. So
yeah, another kind of thing about Bo Nix is if you look at kind of that first game against Georgia, and then what Georgia did to like TCU in the national championship, that kind of proves that they were the best college football team, because they dominated from the first game to the last. And, Bo Nix should probably get a lot of credit, because Oregon did have a pretty solid season.
Right, for sure. I'm not saying they did.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at kind of Bo Nix, and he had a very similar season to a guy like Max Duggan. Playing in a different conference, though, Big 12 is known for kind of a high-powered offense versus a lackluster defense versus Pac-12. Anything goes in the Pac-12. And then, Big 10's more run-based, kind of power run, kind of stuff you with a solid defense. And then, SEC is just, we're going to beat you because we're better.
Yeah.
So, exactly. It's just kind of one of those things where you just look back and just are excited kind of for the future. And, bringing in a new class of these potential, very good players. The only guy that's returning to come back to college football is the Heisman winner. So we're going to have pretty much a whole new slate, a whole new panel of potential winners of the Heisman.
Yep. No, yeah, those would be my four for sure. And I like the kind of conference summaries you just gave there. That's pretty much, 100% accurate with everything you just said, especially the SEC. Going to beat you just because we're better, and that seems to be the case, except for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Vanderbilt story is crazy. With the dad, the whole. I don't know if you've heard the Vanderbilt family story.
Oh, how the school was founded? Because it wasn't just some really rich guy, Cornelius Vanderbilt, I believe.
Yeah, the whole family got a bunch of money, and then it was deteriorating assets, and so they sold off all the stuff and then started the school.
Yeah. And
then the school bankrupted the family because the family ran out of money, but they kept the Vanderbilt name, and then the university made all the money.
Yeah.
So, it's a crazy story. It's wild. The Vanderbilt family's crazy.
Yeah. They're, weren't they railroad or oil?
Yeah, I think they were oil.
Yeah, way back in the day. Yep.
Okay, so, some other things, we can kind of, I don't know, do you have any other sports topics you want to talk about?
Well, I would like to kind of touch on something here.
Go ahead. Take the floor, sir.
I just want to touch on my sweatshirt here. I'm a big Charlotte Bobcats fan. I miss the franchise a lot. We're just kind of thinking of some of the former greats on the team. Kemba. If any of you guys know, I'd love to hear some input. Adam Morrison, Kemba Walker, Bismack Biyombo, Emeka Okafor, Rookie of the Year in 2004. Just the memories and the great jerseys. The racing alternatives for the Charlotte Bobcats with the pinstripes going down the side here. Those are really cool. But that's in the past. That's gone now. But, I actually touched on that. I want to hear some input from you here. So recently there's been speculation that the NBA might add 2 more teams, that being in Seattle and in Las Vegas. So they might bring up the Supersonics. You think that's good for the league to spread out talent a little more, since we kind of in the era of not necessarily, we're kind of back on the old super teams thing. So what are your thoughts on kind of maybe spreading out a little more talent?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good thing. I think it grows the sports, and I think Seattle
needs a team.
Yeah, I think Seattle and Vegas are both desperate for sports teams and franchises. Seattle has everything but an NBA team now.
It's a shame that they lost Thunder. I understand they're good fans in Oklahoma City. I get it. It's just a shame that Seattle lost that team, though.
Yeah.
They loved them down there for sure. So
yeah.
And then Vegas. Vegas is just a booming. Yeah, they could use a basketball team too, and they definitely have the infrastructure to support it. So
yeah, I think you look across kind of all mainly the big 3 sports. No offense to kind of soccer and hockey, but you look football, baseball, and basketball. I'd say are probably the top 3 sports in America.
Oh, yeah.
And there's all top three are probably within the next 5 to 10 years. There's going to be all three of those teams in Las Vegas. I think eventually the Oakland Athletics will move to Vegas.
Yep, I agree with that.
I've also heard maybe the Warriors might move if they don't get that stadium. I think they did get the stadium.
They did. It's in San Francisco, though. It's not in Oakland anymore. It's in San Francisco.
So, San Fran, but yeah, I could see them adding another team there.
Vegas has got a hockey team. I mean, I know you didn't say about hockey. But
they have a hockey team. They have the Knights.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Seattle, they also just got the Kraken. And, I think the NHL did well with those expansions. You get a lockup, like, a non-tenured guy, and then otherwise it's just like.
Isn't it crazy? Draft. Isn't it crazy? I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I'm sorry, but isn't it crazy how the NHL has more teams than the MLB and the NBA?
Yeah, it's
I believe they match the NFL. I believe it's 32.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and I mean they've got 3 or 4 teams in Canada: Winnipeg, Calgary,
Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal.
So they got 6.
I feel like I'm missing one. Edmonton, there we go. And I think that's it. Yeah.
So they have 7. 7 of the 32.
Yep.
So that's quite a bit, you know. And you see the NFL going to like Germany, England, Mexico City. Like they played in all 3 of those venues. And Goodell has also said, like, I'm not afraid to like use those in open market teams. There's also been talks of potentially Nashville opening up for Major League Baseball and getting their Major League Baseball team. And I think Tennessee is another great place. Mm-hmm. You got the Grizzlies in Memphis. You have the Titans. You got the Predators
in Nashville there.
Yeah. So I think expanding is great for all teams because you welcome new fans. You welcome a new market. I think it's great for both.
I think it helps,
the NFL
spreads out talent too. Like, I mean, we were just talking before about the NBA. Kind of go back to where we'd be at the beginning, how the scoring averages are so high now, and people are putting up 50-pointers, 60-pointers. I mean, it seems like almost every other night. I really think adding 2 teams would really help spread some talent out and maybe kind of level the playing field. And and of course, add new teams, add new fans.
Bring in revenue for the state.
Right, yeah, revenue, all that good stuff. So, I mean, it's all positives, in my opinion. So, I mean, especially in places that already have the capacity to do that kind of stuff. So,
absolutely, yeah. Would you like to send a message to Mr. Michael Jordan to possibly bring back the Bobcats?
Mike, I drafted you first overall. I know the Charlotte Hornets were kind of the favorite in North Carolina there. Obviously, the Bobcats didn't really have that established history. But in my opinion, now this is, I'm in the minority here, that the Bobcats logo is cool. Their jerseys were awesome. They were 7-59 one year. That was like one of the first. That's why I love the Bobcats, actually. Is that 2011-2012 lockout season where they went 7-59. I can remember watching the last game they played the Knicks on TNT, and they got blown out, and then they had the worst winning percentage in NBA history. And that's why I'm a Bobcats guy. But anyway, Jordan, bring the Bobcats back, or you're getting traded to Cam's team. That's my threat.
I might accept.
Yeah.
So bring the Bobcats back for sure. I remember New Orleans actually had 2 teams, so why can't Charlotte? Because they had the Pelicans and the Hornets.
Well, so that's okay. So that's kind of confusing how they did that. So in the early 2000s, the Charlotte Hornets, the original Charlotte Hornets that were established in the late 80s, moved to New Orleans. Then in 2004, the Bobcats that's actually the last time the NBA expanded was the Charlotte Bobcats. So in 2004, the Charlotte Bobcats became a thing. Or no, 2002. 2002, excuse me. 2002, the Charlotte Bobcats became a thing. And then the Hornets were still the Hornets, but then Hurricane Katrina happened. The Hornets moved to Oklahoma City for a season. So the Oklahoma City Hornets, then after the city was rebuilt, they moved back to New Orleans. But then there was kind of a growing movement, especially after that 7-59 season, where people in Charlotte didn't really care about the Bobcats. They didn't really care to go to the games. I mean, NASCAR is more popular in Charlotte than the NBA is. The NFL obviously is. And arguably, I know it's not in Charlotte, but the Carolina Hurricanes draw a big crowd in Raleigh. So the Charlotte Bobcats at the time were
pretty unpopular. I mean, even college hoops. I mean, you have North Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest, NC State. I mean, there's not a lot of room to really fit in there for the NBA, but so basically the Charlotte Bobcats wanted to become the Hornets again. Got the New Orleans Hornets permission to switch the team logos and the history in Charlotte over to them. So basically, from the 90s or the late 80s to the 2002 relocation to New Orleans is Charlotte Hornets history. Then in 2004 to now it /Bobcats/Charlotte Hornets. So that's all Charlotte Hornets history. It's so confusing. And then from New Orleans Hornets Charlotte Hornets moving to New Orleans, that history when they're in New Orleans /Oklahoma City, and Pelicans history when they renamed the team is Pelicans history. So there's no overlap there, but the Charlotte Hornets are the Charlotte Hornets because the Bobcats were highly unpopular. They needed a new marketing kind of tactic to get people to come to games, and I do think it's worked in a sense where it's a little nostalgic factor for a lot of people who remember those great teams with Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, and all those guys, of course. So,
Absolutely.
But the Bobcats are still better, in my opinion. So,
all right. Yeah. So, kind of. Do you have anything else to say about Charlotte and Bobcats?
Not about the Bobcats. Charlotte, you're a great city. A lot of fun things to do. I've never been there before, but it sure sounds like it's a great place to be. So, yeah. That's my 2 cents.
All right. So, what are you watching this week?
I've been watching Cobra Kai on Netflix. I just finished it last night.
What'd you think?
It's badass. I love Karate Kid. I'm a kind of an 80s movie guy, so I love Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. Next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank I could do without. And then the new Karate Kid, not new anymore, but 13 years ago with the Smith kid, Jaden Smith, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
That movie, let me rip into that movie real quick. That movie is so dumb. It's called The Karate Kid. They go to China. Karate's from Japan, first off. They go to China, and then they're doing Kung Fu. So why is it not called The Kung Fu Kid? It's just disrespectful, I think. So I hate that movie. It's kind of good reviews and all that. Whatever, who cares about that?
It's only famous because of the Justin Bieber song in it. Never Say Never.
That's right. Yeah,
That's the only reason.
the only reason why. They go to China. I mean, I don't. Not karate, but whatever. So that's what I've been watching. Cobra Kai. Love the nostalgia in it. I love the. They got all the '80s movies. They reference or '80s music. Excuse me. They reference '80s movies in it. I mean, it's a good show. In terms of some of the teen kind of drama stuff, I can do without. But I really watch it for the nostalgia factor. So.
Alrighty.
And then I've also started that '90s show. I'm 2 episodes in.
Yeah,
I think it's okay. It's Red and Kitty carry the show for sure.
Absolutely.
Of the first episode, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, "Wow, this is not very good." With the teen drama and all that stuff, teen stuff.
Oh my god!
But the second episode, I'm starting to kind of not relate, but like I'm starting to get to know them, I guess. I'm starting to like it a little more, so I'm gonna watch it all through. I love that '70s show, and I mean, it's the callbacks to the original are so great. So, just for that factor alone, it's another nostalgia thing. We're a nostalgia obsessed culture. And,
absolutely,
we just talked about the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, people want them back. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's everything. It's music, movie, sports. We're just a nostalgia obsessed culture. So.
Yeah, we're just recycling a bunch of old stuff and just kind of calling it, a revision.
Yeah.
So, I mean. Some of it can be good. Some of it can be absolutely dog shit. But
that. Have you heard about that Velma show?
Yeah, dude, literally, it's now the worst rated show in the ever.
Yeah, me and Nick watched 15 minutes of it, and I was like, it's horrible.
Really?
It's not funny. It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be Scooby Doo or what it's supposed to be. But it's
based off of Scooby Doo, but none of it's original.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's based off of it, but. I don't know. It's horrible. Yeah, it's not funny. It's just not for me, I guess.
It'd be like me writing a movie about Indiana Jones and having Cadillac Williams star in it.
Speaking of Indiana Jones,
I'm excited for that
the
movie.
new movie's
The Dial
coming
of
out.
Destiny.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully better than the Crystal Skull. I wasn't too keen on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I think that. What grade was I in? When was that? 2008? Is that when that movie came out?
It was. Yeah, it was around then.
I think I was in 4th grade, and I loved Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I saw that movie. I remember, like, when you're in 4th grade, you think every movie you see, you're like, "Oh, that's cool."
yeah, it's a great
I remember
movie.
watching that movie, and I'm in 4th grade. I said, "This movie sucks."
Yeah, yeah. I went as Mutt Williams for Halloween that year.
Oh,
Yeah, his son.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then my best friend went as Indiana Jones.
yeah.
It was so funny.
Well, remember when it's that I forget what her name is. It's been so long with that the Russian bad girl.
Oh, Irina Spalko. I I watched the
You
movie.
okay? You
like
was gonna say,
2
did you
weeks
just
ago.
watch it? Yeah.
I just watched the movie.
She's like, oh, I need all the knowledge, or her fucking head
Yeah.
explodes. That shit's so
I
funny.
want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
Yeah. Well, what have you been watching?
Yeah. So, been into The Last of Us.
I started that as well.
yeah. What'd you think?
Well, I never played the games.
Neither did I.
Okay, well, I think it's a good show
Yeah.
for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good show. I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Man.
Yeah.
Like I've never owned I've owned a PS2, so like
Yeah.
there's no way I'm able to.
I'm a
play it.
PlayStation guy, and I never played that game. But I typically
there you
just
go.
play sports games, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
On Red Dead Redemption 2, that game's cool as shit.
Greatest game of all time.
It's
My number one game
It's up
ever.
there.
My number one game.
My number one game of all time is probably Skyrim. I love Skyrim. I'm a huge Skyrim guy. Love
Yeah.
it. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably in my top 5, though. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you just want to freebase something right here?
Yeah, you just want to do a top
Let me
five,
just top 5 games of all time.
top 5 games of all time.
Okay.
Go.
Well, actually, I take that Skyrim thing back. Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PlayStation 2 is my favorite.
OG.
Is my favorite game of all time. That's my favorite game of all time. Then it's Skyrim. Then 3 is probably Grand Theft Auto 3 San Andreas. 4 is Red Dead Redemption 2. And then 5, I loved NBA 2K13 for my PlayStation 3. I played that game all the time. I love that game. So NBA 2K13 is probably my that probably
Nice.
round out my top 5 right
Nice. My number one is Red Dead Redemption 2. I literally replay the campaign
there. Yeah.
like every year.
Really?
Yeah, I'll do it like in January. I've already beat it.
Yeah.
I've already played the whole thing. Minus like all the side missions. Like I'm not gonna put 80 hours into the game like I did the first
Yeah,
time.
right. No.
But I'm done playing when Arthur dies.
Yeah,
I don't
after
play the epilogue,
the epilogue.
If I want
right.
to play the epilogue, I'm gonna play the first.
So
Red
I'm still playing that. So I beat the game,
Yeah.
like I did the whole Arthur, but I'm still playing from when that game come out 4 years ago, 5 years ago now.
I saw sophomore year of college, so that would have been like 4 or 5 years
So
ago.
I'm still
yeah.
playing that, like that save, and I'm in the epilogue. But I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean,
I beat it as far as I care.
I found all the dinosaur bones. I talked to Sasquatch. So I didn't do much else.
yeah. For sure.
Number 2, I'm gonna go MLB 21 The Show. I played that game last year. I logged like 50 days
Yeah.
of game time hours in it. I was obsessed with the game. I got like every single card in the game. I loved it. It was the first time MLB The Show was ever on Xbox.
Yep, it was a PlayStation exclusive for all those years. I had all the show games when I was like I said, I'm a PlayStation guy, so I had all of them: the PS3, PS4. I just not to interrupt you here, but what's the Ken Griffey Jr. on the cover? I know you're an Xbox guy. Is that 19?
Yeah, 19.
That game was fun. With they had the retro, the first year had the retro game mode in it. That was cool. So I like that game. Yeah.
Number 3. Shoot. Where do I play a lot? The original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, not the new.
Oh, yep. For
original.
the PlayStation 3,
yeah.
Xbox 360. Yeah,
That
that game's awesome.
Yeah,
no Russian.
Yeah, that was that was the first Call of Duty game I ever got.
Yeah.
And I got it for Christmas, and it was like the Xbox 360 Task Force 141 bundle.
Yeah.
And I still have the Xbox.
Oh, really?
And the original, that Xbox and controller, don't know where the game is. I don't even know. I played it so much, the disc is probably scratched. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was before you can buy them and download them
online.
on the console.
My first one, Call of Duty, was Black Ops.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
is a great
Quality
game as well.
game.
Yeah,
You know,
great
so
game.
many Easter eggs in that.
Yep.
Number 4, I just had it in my head too. What was it? Number 4, it was an Xbox. Oh, NCAA Football 14.
Oh, I should have said that. That takes NBA. I don't. Oh, there we go. That takes NBA in my spot. I'm totally. Yeah. Duh. I play that game. I still play that game.
So do I.
Yeah. Duh. My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm-
NBA 2K13. I'm putting that's going in there. Yeah.
When I can set up my like screen recording and stuff on my Xbox,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stream like
Dynasty mode or your
the
Road to
Dynasty-
Glory or whatever.
Dynasty mode. Yeah, I've created my coach already.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, those games are. I get that game. The 14 is amazing. I love that game.
His name is Albert Bergerton. He's the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss.
That's funny you say that because I just started an Ole Miss offensive coordinator campaign 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I started it about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so that's hilarious.
funny. Yeah, that's nice. I like
yeah.
Ole Miss actually. Ole
Yeah.
Miss is probably if I had to pick a favorite, school by conference, SEC, mine's Ole Miss.
Me too.
I like
Ole Miss or LSU.
I like Lane Kiffin. So
Yeah, me too. Come
yeah.
to the SIP.
yeah, for sure. So that's funny.
Yeah, and then number 5. You gotta go Halo 3 ODST.
Never played Halo. I don't have it. I'm not an Xbox guy. Never had Halo.
Halo
so.
3 ODST was so much fun because they had like the sandbox mode, and you can go and like spawn anything you want. We used to like create like demolition derby courses of going to like the little cars and run into each other, take gravity hammers and fling each other across the map, dude. It was so much fun. So yeah, those are my top 5.
For we don't have to talk. I mean, I have a lot of PC games as well, but they're kind of more niche kind of strategy games. So not a lot of people probably know what those are. So we won't have to mention them on here, but I am also a big fan of those kind of games as well. So
that can be for another time.
right. Yeah. Right. So. Oh, that's nice. That was a good top 5 list right there. I like that. So
yeah, absolutely. Any movies or anything you've been watching?
what I watched. It was who Bobby Darin is by any chance? He's like an old kind of like a Frank Sinatra swing kind of music guy. So I watched his biopic with Kevin Spacey from like 2004. I think is when it came out. It was okay. It was all right. So I watched that yesterday. Any other movies? I've watched a bunch of movies recently. Actually,
I rewatched Rocky 3 and 4.
Nice. I love Rocky 3.
Yeah. Rocky 4 is my favorite. With Dolph.
Yeah.
Lundgren.
Duh. Oh yeah. Duh. My bad. For some reason I got mixed up there. I thought
Rocky 3 is Clubber Lang.
Right. Yeah. Rocky 4 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite's Rocky 1, but then Rocky 4 is just cool because it's like
It's America versus
Russia. Right. Exactly. So I watched this documentary about Jimmy Carter, our 39th president, and how he got elected with the help of like kind of rock and roll artist and like Willie Nelson and Allman Brothers Band. It was pretty interesting. It was kind of the first time a president really used pop culture elements to help him get elected. So, and obviously a lot of candidates do that now. I mean, like Barack Obama, I remember. I think Ronald Reagan. Yeah, all those guys kind of used the larger media forces to help push their campaigns. So it was the first time that kind of ever happened. So that was pretty interesting. So I watched that recently as well. And then I've watched 30 Minutes or Less. You ever seen that movie before?
Yeah,
that was
with
pretty
Jesse
good.
Eisenberg.
Yeah, and Danny McBride. Oh, I love Danny McBride, so I watched that recently. And that was within the last 2 weeks. So I've watched like 3 movies in the past 2 weeks.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah. I believe it or not, I've started the John Wick series. I've never watched John Wick, so it's
Neither have I.
Yeah. It's a slow burn. I'm pacing myself through the first one. I'll watch like 20 minutes and then I'll like stop because you kind of have to pay attention, and I end up going to go do something else.
Right.
And I want to like pay attention and watch the movie. So I'm like 40 minutes through the first one.
Okay.
So far, it's pretty good. It's pretty intense the first kind of 20 minutes because everything he loves dies. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see kind of what happens. Kind of the rest of the John Wick way.
Well, don't spoil it for me.
Oh, I won't.
I haven't seen it yet, so.
Yeah, so, and some other things that I'm watching or kind of looking forward to, the Batman, all that stuff. I'm a huge Batman guy, whenever the Pattinson Batman 2 comes out. And then, like, the Penguin and the Arkham TV shows. Excited about that.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen the Batman?
Not a big DC guy.
Oh,
Ever since... so I liked Wonder Woman 1. I liked that movie. I hated Batman vs Superman. I hated that movie. I've seen it 3 times. I cannot watch it. Like I do not enjoy that movie. The last Batman movies I liked were with Christian Bale.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a while ago. I mean, those movies are amazing. I love those movies. Haven't seen any of the besides Batman vs Superman.
The
What's his name?
Snyderverse.
What's his name though? The guy who plays Batman in that
Ben
movie.
Affleck.
I haven't seen any of the
Yeah.
Ben Affleck Batman and anything besides. Is that the one? No, there's more than that, right?
Well,
He's not just Batman in that movie. There's more.
there's also Bruce Wayne.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean, though. There's more than just Batman versus Superman with Ben
So
Affleck.
there's Batman versus Superman. There's the Justice League. There's the Justice League Snyder's
so
Cut.
I haven't seen any of those.
And then he'll be in the new Flash movie.
Okay, I haven't seen any of those ones. So,
Yeah, and I think he's an Aquaman.
if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Marvel. Not saying I haven't seen any of the new ones since the last Avengers movie. I haven't been keeping up with the.
There's been quite a bit.
Yeah, I know.
They're all on Disney Plus.
And our friend Nick, who's into
he comes
that.
to every Marvel movie with me.
Right, but he told me I'm not really missing out on much.
You're not.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to waste my time. I probably will see the new Ant-Man movie though, because
Yeah.
I like the Ant-Man movies.
The
so.
Ant-Man movie I think is going to be sick.
Yeah, I will probably go see that. So.
One, if you haven't seen it yet, the only Marvel movie that I think you should see since like the last Avengers movie would be Spider-Man. No
I did
Tom-
see that. Apologies. Yeah, I saw that with Tom Holland and
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
Garfield.
I forgot about that.
And
Yeah.
if you think that's a spoiler warning and you haven't seen it yet, go fuck yourself. Because that movie's been out for almost 2 years. Or a year. It's been out for over a year.
Yeah, no, I saw that movie, so that was good. I like that one. Okay, other than that though, I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, but,
Unless you say one, I said, I saw that. Nah, that's only one.
but yeah, there's not really much that you missed. Yeah, I mean, anything you're kind of looking forward to seeing other than, Ant-Man?
Well, like I said, the Indiana Jones movie, that's a ways away out. Oh man, off the top of my head, honestly, not really in terms of movies. Not even TV shows. Oh, the new Mandalorian season comes out soon. I'm excited to see that.
I'm excited about that too.
I still haven't watched Andor. Have you?
Uh-uh.
I haven't seen it yet.
I watched like the first 3 episodes, but I wasn't paying attention, so no, I haven't watched
so you
it.
haven't watched it. I got you. No, so yeah, Mandalorian is probably what I'm excited the most about coming up soon. Yeah, the new Indiana Jones, which is still a ways away. I can't really think of anything on top of my head right now. Yeah, I don't think so. What about you?
Just kind of keeping up with The Last of Us. Super excited about Dune Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Dune fan. I think Dune is probably one of the greatest movies to be made within the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I haven't seen a lot of the newer movies, so
Yeah, every biopic of like a famous artist I think is solid.
Oh, we went to Elvis.
Yeah,
that was
Elvis.
good.
I loved Elvis.
Yeah,
It was a good movie.
yeah.
Up for Best Picture. Probably won't win.
So kind of actually about that, I've noticed this year. It seems like in years recent in the past, so like let's say within the last 3 years or so, all the pictures that are nominated for Best Picture were all like movies that they're indie movies that like not a lot of people went to.
Yeah.
I feel like this year there's like actual movies that like were big, like
Yeah.
the Elvis movie, the new Top Gun, the new Avatar movie is already up for it. I mean, there's a few actual like blockbuster quote unquote movies that are up for it, which personally I like because I feel like people have actually seen them and they're like heard of them. Like what was that?
Well, I mean,
One, like,
Parasite, the Korean film that won a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
I mean, I'm sure it's good. I don't think it was like a must-see like picture, was it? I mean, was it on like? There's no I didn't see any commercials for it or anything like that. Like that new Top Gun movie was marketed to hell, and people loved it, and I loved it. I thought it was a really good movie. It's got. I actually looked this up the other day. It's got a 40% higher rating on Rotten Tomatoes than the original Top Gun, which is
Really?
It's got to be like some sort of record for like, quote unquote, best sequel of all time in terms of Rotten Tomatoes score because. I think the original has a 58 and the new one has a 96.
Wow.
I believe.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Coda, I don't know what that is.
Exactly. No, me neither.
Parasite.
I've heard of it only because it won an Oscar though. I didn't hear about it before.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Or like Green Book. I actually did hear about Green Book. Didn't hear about Shape of Water.
Never heard of that.
Not Moonlight.
Nope.
Not Spotlight.
Nope.
Not Birdman.
12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
I never-
Argo. Yes.
Yeah.
The Artist. Yes. King's Speech, yes. Hurt Locker, yes.
See,
Yeah.
but you see what I mean, though? You look at that list that's in the last 3 years, it's like, I don't never heard of
Yeah,
it.
since-
Maybe even going back further
since
than 3 years.
2015.
So 8 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like a lot of these are some of my favorite movies. Like No Country for Old Men is one of my favorite
No Country
movies.
for Old Men is such a good... Wait, go back up real quick, would you?
Yeah, or we're on the today.
Gladiator is great. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, that's like a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of movies I like to see win because people actually saw them. And normal people like me and you actually liked them. I mean, you can go talk about all these critically acclaimed movies. I watch them. I hate it. This sucks.
Yeah, like I'm in there to enjoy the movie. I'm not looking at, oh, did you see that visual effect? Oh, did you see this cinematography? Did you see like the alignment? How it was perfectly parallel.
I'm not a film
Like,
student.
I don't care.
I'm just a regular guy. I
Yeah.
want a good story.
Yeah.
I want exactly.
I want
yeah.
the people to portray the characters very well.
Yeah.
I want a plot-driven story, and I want a nice conclusion to wrap everything up.
Exactly.
If it's good or bad, I don't care.
Yeah. See, those are a bunch of good movies too. Like
Silence of the Lambs,
Dance with
Schindler's
Wolves,
List,
Schindler's
Forrest
List.
Gump,
Yeah, Forrest
Braveheart,
Gump.
Titanic,
Yeah, those are all movies people have heard of
yeah.
too.
Platoon, Driving Miss Daisy, Rain Man.
So there's
Terms
a
of
few of them
Endearment,
in there.
Gandhi, Chariots of Fire,
I haven't heard of it.
The Rocky, The Godfather, and Godfather Part 2, Patton,
Yeah.
French Connection. I mean, yeah, these are all like
But like I said, within the last now 8 years, those aren't movies that were marketed very well, I think. And I was obviously I was around to remember if there was ever commercials for them.
yeah. So
There's
All Quiet on the Western Front, which is a Netflix.
that's
movie.
a Netflix movie, yeah.
Top Gun
Yep,
and Avatar.
yep, and then Elvis as well.
Yeah, Elvis, but I haven't heard
That-
Tar, Fableman.
Well, I think I've heard of that everything.
Everything Everywhere.
Yeah,
All at
I've
Once.
heard of that one before, like before the Oscar season kind of came up.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I've at least heard of it before. So
Looks like Jamie Lee Curtis is the only American.
that's what I mean. There's a few of them that
Middle Aged Chinese.
are pretty well known anyway. So yeah, and I never watched the Oscars or anything anyway,
No,
but I
neither
think
do
that
I.
it's kind of interesting to see what's won in terms of if I've heard of it or anything like that before. So yeah.
I'll usually look at Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor and Actress, and then Best Picture. I'll make those picks there and just see. Normally, when the Joker was up, I was hoping the Joker would win. And I'm picking my favorite movies. Obviously, I haven't seen some of those movies, and good chance I don't go watch them. But
Right.
I want to see the ones that I win.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hope
That's
they do.
what I'm saying too.
We have a greater
so.
chance this year because there's 4 movies that we actually watched and went to. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new Avatar.
Yeah, so that's kind of your thing. You live with Nick, and Nick doesn't like Avatar, but it's a visual masterpiece. I know that sounds very I just was I don't go to see that, but that movie I will because it's just beautiful, and it took them 12 years to make. So
Right. I like the first one. I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Not that I probably will when it comes out on DVD or
It's a-
something.
it's a
Or
s- it'll be on
Netflix.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. There you go. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, before we kind of cut it off, is there anything else that you have?
Not the top of my head. No, I did enjoy our conversation here, and I appreciate you letting me be on the show. So, thank you very much.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week with probably something more, and hopefully Duncan will be on.
That's right. Yeah, our good friend Duncan. So,
Absolutely. You want to end us off with a nice little bobcat growl? All right. Hey,
good night, America.
Thanks, Connor.